वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So reading from chapter 18, verse 51 to 53. बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तो धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन विषयान् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषौ व्युदस्य च विविक्तसेवी लघ्वाशी यत वाक्काय मानसः ध्यानयोगपरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तो ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते.
Intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in the secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance, and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and power and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of the self-realization.
Text 54. ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्.
One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
Text 55. भक्त्या मामभिजानाति यावान् यश्चास्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम्.
One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead only, by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God.
Text 56. सर्वकर्माण्यपि सदा कुर्वाणो मत् sorry मद्यपाश्रयः मत्प्रसादात् अवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्.
Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotees under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode of my grace.
Text 57. चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः बुद्धियोगम् उपाश्रित्य मच्चित्त सततं भव.
In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
Text 58. मच्चित्तः सर्वदुर्गाणि मत्प्रसादात् हरिष्यसि अथ चेत्त्वम् अहङ्कारन् न शोष्यसि विनश्यसि.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Text 59. यद अहङ्कारम् आश्रित्य न योत्स्य इति मन्यसे मिथ्येश व्यवसायस्ते प्रकृति स्वां नियोक्ष्यति.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
Text 60. स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय निबद्धः स्वेन कर्मणा कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात् अकरिष्यस्य वशोऽपि. tat
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
Text 61 ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy.
Text 62 तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
O scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal abode.
Text 63 इति ते ज्ञानमख्यातं गुह्याद् मया विमृश्येत अत शेषेण यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु.
Thus I have explained to you knowledge still some confidential, deliberate on your fully, and then do what you wish to do.
Text 64 सर्वगुह्यतमं भूयः शृणु मे परमं वचः दृष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्.
Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instructions, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit.
Text 65 मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे.
Always think of me, because become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my dear friend, my very dear friend.
Text 66 सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
Text 67 idam te natapasthaya na bhaktāya kadāchana न चाशुश्रूषवे वाचं न च मां योऽभ्यसूयति.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devotees or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Text 68 य idam paramam guhyam मद्भक्ते मद्भक्ते स्व अभिधस्यति भक्तिं मयिं परां कृत्वा मामे वैश्यत्य संशयः.
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
Text 69 न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्यः प्रियतरो भुवि.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
Text 70 अध्येषते च य इमं धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहमिष्टः स्यामिति मे मतिः.
And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
Text 71 श्रद्धावान् अनसूयश्च शृणुयादपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभां लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम्.
And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from all sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell.
Text 72. कच्चिद् एतच्छ्रुतं पार्थ त्ययैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चित् ज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रणष्टस्ते धनञ्जय.
O son of Partha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled?
Text 73. Arjuna uvacha नष्टो मोहस्मृतिर्लब्ध्वा त्वत्प्रसादान् मयाच्युत स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव.
Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Text 74. Sanjaya uvacha इत्यहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः संवादम् इममश्रोषम् अद्भुतं रोमहर्षणम्.
Sanjaya said, Thus have I heard the conversation of the two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on edge.
Text 75. व्यासप्रसादात् चुनतवानेद् अतद्द्रियमहं परं योगं योगेश्वरात् कृष्णात् साक्षात् कथयतः स्वयं.
By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Text 76. Rajan संस्मृत्य संवादम् इममद्भुतं केशवार्जुनयोः पुण्यं हृष्यामि च मुहुर्मुहुः.
O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment.
Text 77. तच्च संस्मृत्य रूपम् अत्यद्भुतं हरेः विस्मयो मे महान् राजन् हृष्यामि च पुनः पुनः.
O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Text 78. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीविजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्ममः.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will always certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. This is my opinion. That is my opinion. Sorry. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Apologies if I have not pronounced it correctly. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shubhada Mataji. Actually, your pronunciation was very good. Thank you. And Kishori Mataji, thank you for your English, nice, lovely English translation. So, dear devotees, welcome to another of our chat sessions. We're coming towards the end of the 18th chapter. But I'm told by Divyanam Prabhu, we'll go back to the first chapter. This group, this chat session, I think we started with chapter 7, if I'm not mistaken, about 14 months ago. And so we haven't done the first 6 chapters. So we'll get back to the first six chapters after this, but we are now towards the end of the 18th chapter, which is the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And if you're joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you, to our chat group. Today we have 31 devotees online, and many of them have been dedicatedly coming to the session without fail for the last 18 to 20 months. It's been a wonderful journey that we've all been on together. So today we will be reciting the 75th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'll share that. But before I do so, as we traditionally do, we recite the Mangala Charanam prayers. If those of you are not familiar with the prayers, I normally don't recite all of the prayers, but we can do. You can find it on page number 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, if you have Bhagavad Gita as it is. In the introduction, these are the first prayers that feature there. And many of you all may know it, so be unmuted mics, you can also recite with me. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsya Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Dishatarine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today's verse is text number 75. Very interesting and a very important verse. While we're reading the verse in the translation, I'll just leave you all with a short exercise. If I was to ask you, what is the predominant theme or mood of this verse? In one word, how would you describe that? So just keep this as an exercise at the back of your mind as we read. What is the predominant mood and theme of this verse? Because it's very important, very important. So the verse, Vyasa prasadat shrutavan etad goyamaham param yogam yogeshvarat krishnat shakshat katayata swayam. Word for word synonyms. Vyasa prasadat, by the mercy of Vyasadeva. Shrotavan, have heard. Etat, this. Guyam, confidential. Aham, I. Param, the supreme. Yoga, mysticism. Yoga, Ishvarat, from the master of all mysticism. Krishnat, from Krishna. Shakshat, directly. Katayataha, speaking. Swayam, personally. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So who is speaking this verse, dear devotees?
Sanjaya.
Sanjaya.
Sanjaya is speaking, yes. So purport. Vyas was the spiritual master of Sanjaya, and Sanjaya admitted that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Krishna heard it. There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham. Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyas. Therefore, Vyas is as bona fide as Arjuna because he comes in the disciplic succession, and Sanjaya is the direct disciple of Vyas. Therefore, by the grace of Vyas, Sanjaya's senses were purified, and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned. In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. It is to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyas, Sanjaya was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyas. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. So the verse again, by the mercy of Vyasa, I've heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. So at the beginning of the class, I gave you a small exercise to try to grasp or assimilate as we read the verse and the purport, and to express in one word what you would deem to be the main theme or mood of this verse. Would anyone like to share their thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I
Yes,
attempt?
sure.
My humble obeisances to you.
My word is you too.
Thank you. I think it's mercy. One word will be mercy.
Mercy. Okay.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, who's going first? Was it Krishangi Mataji? Or was it Prabhuta? Okay, Prabhuta Mataji, you go first, then Krishangi Mataji, then Emma Mataji.
I think Prabhuji is surrender to your guru, and then the guru leads you to liberation. So I would say surrender.
Surrender. Very nice. Very good. Krishangi Mataji, you wanted to express?
What is a disciplic succession?
Disciplic succession. Nice. Getting some nice answers here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I would say the mercy of the spiritual master.
Mercy of the spiritual master. Again, mercy. Emma Mataji?
It was parampara, importance of parampara, surrender to parampara.
Parampara. Okay, that's nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Mataji.
I would say that fully surrender, not just to surrender, fully surrendered.
Fully surrender.
With full faith in Krishna, yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu. Please accept
Hare
my
Krishna,
humble obeisances.
Balika Mataji. Please accept my obeisances.
Thank you very much. It is a confidential knowledge. So this confidential knowledge has come from Krishna. So and then to Vasudev. So it's a guru having full faith on the parampara system. This is my understanding. Hare
For
Krishna.
faith. Okay, faith. Yeah, so faith, that's one word. Nice, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Jolly Mataji.
I think if you want one word, pure bhakti yoga.
Pure Bhakti Yoga. All right. Those were all very, very interesting, very nice, very insightful realizations you've all shared. Where is it? So many of you have said mercy. Sanjay acknowledges the mercy of Vyasa, by whose mercy he could hear the master of mysticism, Krishna. I actually take that old theme and I summarize it in one word, and that word is gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
Sanjay, if you read here, if you read the previous verse, so Sanjay said, thus I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wondrous is that message that my hair is standing on end. So in the last verse, verse 74, he was feeling ecstasy. He was feeling enlightened. He was feeling transformed. And the moment he had that experience, it is very interesting what was Sanjaya's next consciousness. The moment he had this profound experience, immediately his mind went to his guru. And why did it go to his guru, Vyas? Because he was acknowledging, I am having this profound experience. I am having this profound sense of enlightenment and ecstasy. And this is all due to the mercy of my guru, Vyas. So the overall mood of this verse is one of gratitude. Sanjay is expressing gratitude. And therefore, if we study Srila Prabhupada's purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport is all based on the spiritual master, of how the disciple experiences spiritual life through the mercy of the spiritual master. And there are many other sub-themes of this purport. And we shall discuss some of them. And there's some very, very interesting words and statements Srila Prabhupada makes. And the first one I want to touch on is this word transparent via medium. And if you read this, the second and third sentences, they are very interesting, very interesting. And I found it very interesting trying to understand this. Srila Prabhupada writes, this means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. Isn't that very interesting? Srila Prabhupada is saying here, not understand Krishna directly, but the experience is still direct. Didn't you find that a very interesting statement when you read it? So how do we understand this statement? We understand it by this word transparent via medium. Srila Prabhupada, he gives some very interesting metaphors or analogy to understand this principle of transparent via medium. So I'll just read to you a talk on the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 6th chapter, the 1st verse, where Srila Prabhupada talks a bit more about this principle of transparent via medium. Prabhupada says, so in every transaction, there is a negotiator. So spiritual master is the negotiator. He is the broker, of course, without any brokerage. It's interesting, so Prabhupada said, normally when you use a broker, the broker always takes some commission, brokerage fee. So Prabhupada says, of course, without any brokerage. But he's supposed to be the broker or the transparent medium. My Guru Maharaj used to say, the transparent media, via media, just like my eyes are not very perfect. So I'm using this transparent via media to see. Because similarly, because we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna or God, so we have to see through the transparent via media of spiritual master. Otherwise, it's very difficult. That is a process. That is a process. And Prabhupada gave two very interesting metaphors for us to understand this. Just like the human consciousness is, I don't want anyone to come between my relationship, between me and God. That is a direct relationship. I don't need anyone. It's just like if I am looking at you, normally, if I put my glasses on, then someone will say, there is now something coming in between your vision and your object. So that's not very nice. But I wouldn't agree with you. Because when I put this glasses, although it is something that's coming in between me, my vision, and the object, it is actually enhancing the clarity, my vision of the object. Another analogy Prabhupada used to use is the binoculars. And a binoculars is actually a front glass and an end glass, and a number of lenses in between the front glass and the end glass. So what you're having is actually between your vision and the object, you have two glasses and a number of lenses. So you have a number of so-called interferences. But what is that binoculars doing? That binoculars is bringing something that's far away, near to your vision. It's making that object which is far away, far more accessible to your vision. So that is the spiritual master. That is the guru. And this is what Srila Prabhupada means when he says that through the medium of the spiritual master, although the experience is still direct, ultimately, the spiritual master is making our contact with Krishna direct. His goal is not to come in between. He's making it direct. But what he is doing, he's bringing us and Krishna much more closer together. And when someone does that, what is our immediate feeling? I am so grateful. I did not have access. I could not have access, but you have given me that access. So this is Guru. This is spiritual master. And in the Vaishnava tradition, this is how the disciple feels towards spiritual master. And Sanjaya is expressing this. He's saying, because of Vyas, I got the chance to hear directly the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. And he's expressing that gratitude to Vyas. And this quality of gratitude is very, very important in the Vaishnava tradition. And Srila Prabhupada expressed it. Actually, this quality of gratitude also exists in Krishna. In the Nectar of Devotion, I think it is chapter 21. The 64 qualities of Lord Krishna is explained in detail by Srila Rupa Goswami. And quality number 17 is called grateful. And Krishna is sometimes called Kritagya. He is always very, very grateful. For Prabhupada says, even if someone renders a little service to Krishna, Krishna is very grateful. I was recently reading some very nice statements. Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he always emphasizes this point of gratitude in his lectures. And when two statements really struck me that I've read recently in his writings and his talks. And he said, if you are not grateful for whatever you receive, you will never be able to keep that which you've received. And then he also says, gratitude is the condition of the heart in which bhakti grows. That means if there is gratitude in your heart, bhakti will grow. And this Vaishnav lineage that we come in, it's very, very different to the Mayavadis or the impersonalists. The impersonalists, they see the Guru as a stepping stone. Stepping stone means I step on the stone to get on to my destination, and after that, I forget the stepping stone. So they feel the Guru is only there to help me to realize I am God. Once I've realized I am God, I am equal to my Guru. Because Guru is God, I am God. So what is the need for me to be grateful for? Vaishnav Siddhanta is not like that. It is said in Vaishnav Siddhanta, the relationship between the Guru and the disciple is eternal. When the Guru goes to the spiritual world and the disciple goes to the spiritual world, in the spiritual world, in the material world, the disciple is assisting the Guru in his service to Krishna. And in the spiritual world, this disciple continues to assist the Guru in his service to Krishna. So this is very, very important. I see time's going on now. And today I have to finish at 7:45 because I got another meeting about our Bhadra campaign. But I want to read one verse and purport from the Srimad Bhagavatam for y'all, with y'all, because it's very insightful. And if you just bear with me for a minute, I'll just bring up the verse that we could explore it together. So this is a verse from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 22nd chapter and the 47th verse. So let me just bring up the verse and then I'll share it with you. If you just bear with me. It's very, very interesting. So this is a verse spoken by Prithu Maharaj. I won't read the Sanskrit. So Prithu Maharaj continued. How can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed among human society out of their unlimited mercy. So here Prithu Maharaj is expressing his gratitude to the spiritual masters, the great souls, the gurus of the world, who unselfishly enlightened the fallen souls. And I want to read the purport and the last paragraph of the purport in particular because it's so interesting. So Prabhupada writes, great personalities of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society. But actually no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of self-realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All living entities are within the clutches of the illusionary energy. That's us. Forgetting their real identity, they hover in material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. That's us. So many millions of lifetimes we've been searching for a peaceful life. Since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they are not getting any relief, although they are very anxious to attain peace of mind and some substantial happiness. Saintly persons like the Kumaras, Narada, Prahlad, Janaka, Shukadev Goswami and Kapila Dev, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnava Acharyas and their servants, can render a valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. Such knowledge is the perfect benediction for humanity. Now listen to this, dear devotees. Knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. The word Vinoda, Patram, can be divided into two words, Vena and Udapatram, or can be understood as one word, Vinoda Patram, which means joker. A joker's activities simply arouse laughter. And a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughing stock just like a joker. Because it is not possible to repay such a debt. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity with original Krishna consciousness. So if we want to try to repay the debts of the spiritual master, one becomes like a joker because we cannot do it. But still does not mean we do not do it. We still express our gratitude. But it's not possible, ever possible for us to ever repay the great debt we have to the great spiritual masters, the teachers, our own guru, because they have given us the greatest benediction by taking us out of this material world. So I shall stop here. I shall take we'll take any questions
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
or comments or reflections. Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I mean, I just wanted to just put in a couple of words like for the analogies which Srila Prabhupada gave regarding spiritual master. He said about the glasses. So my idea is when you're young, you don't need glasses that time. But because that time the glasses come, if you have good eyesight, you don't need glasses. Because if you put any glasses, that comes as then you're out of focus. But after in your 50s, that's the time you need glasses so that it puts you in focus. I mean, I'm just looking at the materialistic energy, but the binoculars one, I can understand like the far distant things. So because obviously to reach Krishna is really far. So that enlightenment that can, because of the glasses in between, will make the far images appear nearer. So spiritual master is helping you in gaining enlightenment or anything surrender a bit more earlier than what you would have done on your own without the spiritual master. And with the glasses thing, slightly, yes, it fits in when you're not able to focus, then the glasses fit in. But if you have the focus, maybe you still need your spiritual master is always required, needed. I don't know whether the gas analogy I wasn't able to fit in properly.
I think it fits in properly, Mataji, because if I just take what you've said there, it's almost like when you're young, you can see. But I take it, when you are young, you're blind.
Yeah.
You know, you can't see. If you were to take that interpretation, that only when older in age we need glasses, then it's relevant. But what about young? Young, it's like our spiritual life, it's almost to say like we can see, and then later on our eyes get bad, then we need the glasses. But if you take that in respect of the conditioned soul, in our infancy, we are completely blind and ignorant of spiritual knowledge. When we grow older, maybe we take to the spiritual path, but in that spiritual path, everything is unclear. But when we put the glasses, it becomes clear. So I do understand what you're saying, but I see it slightly differently.
No, I can understand now when you say obviously spiritual blindness is there. So these are spiritual glasses we have.
Yes.
Basically, rather than materialistic glasses. Yes, fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other comments or reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Nitai Mata.
Yeah, Prabhu, I was thinking, isn't it more the before gratefulness, humble, that he accepts that his situation without spiritual master is no use, like he wouldn't have got it. So isn't it first humble, then grateful, Prabhu, Sanjay, the situation?
It's almost interdependent, isn't it, Mataji? If you're not grateful, if you're not grateful, you don't have that humility. If you haven't grasped what someone has given you, then you don't have that humility. And also what you say is true. Only when you're humble, have a humble attitude, do you grasp, are you grateful? So there's some interdependence.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sometimes we do. I just want to understand which one is first. I think when you're humble, it's grateful, Prabhu. It's not. I don't know. I think both ways, isn't it, Prabhu?
Let's just look at Srila Prabhupada's life when he went to the West, and his disciples. In the first, they didn't really have an idea of what Srila Prabhupada was giving. But when they heard his message, and in one sense they heard his message with submissiveness, then they understood the greatness of what Srila Prabhupada was giving them. And then they surrendered to him, full humility. So, I would say there was submissiveness, then gratitude, then surrender with full humility. But you can look at it both ways. I think it's, humility.
Yeah. Thank you,
Like,
Prabhu.
they're probably interdependent anyway.
Prabhu,
Yes,
I
Mataji,
don't know. Prabhu,
I can hear you.
I didn't hear what you the last what you said. I don't know. I lost it. I don't know. Maybe it's on
Oh,
you.
I said, they are interdependent. We could say from gratitude comes humility, or from humility comes gratitude. You can look at it both ways. They're probably interdependent.
Okay. Yeah.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you,
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, in Canto 4, again, it was Dhruv Maharaj's thing. I was reading the purport, and it said spiritual enlightenment and enlivenment is only possible by action of internal potency of the Lord. So that I'm assuming is Radharani. So in terms of mediators, where does Radharani fit in then? We would need her mercy to get to Krishna. We were talking about mediators and the parampara.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada said, only through the mercy of Radharani, you can get the mercy of Krishna. Only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can you get the mercy of Radharani. Only by the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu can you get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And only when we approach such people like Jagai and Madai can we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So the spiritual master is the representative of Lord Nityananda.
Yes.
And through the mercy of Lord Nityananda, we get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. From the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, we get the mercy of Krishna. So in one sense, we can say that internal potency, which he was just referring to from the 4th canto, that comes by the mercy of the spiritual master.
Right. So it is first spiritual master, not Radharani, that's being referred to.
Yeah, well, the spiritual master takes us to the mercy of Radharani.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Okay. If there's no other questions, comments, or reflections, thank you very much for your participation and attendance. We'll see each other again tomorrow. Another very interesting verse, text number 76. And we'll conclude today's class by offering Vaishnava pranams to all of the devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha